Tapping in as well.
Over the top. I mean, that was a full force shot to the temple. I mean, he's right now. So they wipe off his gloves, but you look at him like he's really feeling it right now. I mean, he probably has no idea where he is.
When I'm going to take your soul, and you're either going to give up or you're going to get knocked out. And unless you have that instinct, you just will never be a good fighter.
Likely that one big shot's going to land if the guy's not throwing other shots. So I thought with less artillery in the air, less bombs in the air, that the guy would have a chance to get to later rounds.
Joe Rogan reacted to Jake Paul's knockout loss with laughter alongside Anthony Joshua, calling the fight an obvious mismatch from the beginning. He explained that Jake typically faces retired fighters or MMA opponents, not a legitimate Olympic heavyweight champion. Rogan emphasized that Joshua isn't just elite. He also carries size and power well above Jake's natural weight class. From a pure boxing standpoint, Rogan said the outcome was predictable long before the first punch, and the results simply confirmed what everyone expected.
Well, realistically, it's one of the craziest propositions of all time. You take a guy who just had a boxing match that looks like a sparring match with a 58-year-old Mike Tyson, and then you're going to fight one of the absolute scariest knockout artists in the...
After the fight, Anthony Joshua stated that the knockout actually saved Jake Paul. He explained that the bout had continued, he would have fully broken Paul down both mentally and physically, suggesting that the early stoppage prevented even greater damage inside the ring.
Fighting's not just physical, it's psychological. And when you understand the psychological warfare, I did say to you that, Jake, what's going to happen? I'm going to see a time when I'm going to take your soul, and you're either going to give up or you're going to get knocked out. And unless you have that instinct...
Anthony Joshua being linked to a so-called circus fight against Jake Paul immediately split opinion across the boxing world. Many viewed it as spectacle rather than a legitimate sporting contest, with the vast gaps in size, experience, and pedigree impossible to ignore. Joshua is a two-time heavyweight champion and Olympic gold medalist, while Jake Paul is still learning the fundamentals of the sport. To critics, the matchup felt more like entertainment designed for attention and numbers in a genuine boxing challenge, which is why it was quickly labeled circus. Those concerns intensified after Joshua knocked Jake Paul out, breaking his jaw in the process. Reacting to the result, Simon Jordan strongly condemned the event, arguing that fights of this nature do serious damage to boxing's credibility and distract from meaningful competition at the highest level.
Industry, because straight after the fight, I heard the question being posed to Joshua, will he now fight Fury? And then my first thought was, after what I've seen, who cares? After that, who cares if Joshua fights Fury? I like Anthony Joshua immensely, Spencer. Any exchanges I've had with him, I think he comes across terrifically well. But I fail to see where it's taken us, where it's taken him, other than hugely increasing his bank balance. You know, I really fail to see what this has done.
Well, it's done nothing, but he was going to fight in November, like I said, and he's just gone in there against Jake Paul. What has it done for his legacy? Absolutely zero. But it was, he's earned a lot of money doing that. And he's going to go again, and he's going to fight possibly February, March, and then there's that Tyson Fury fight that's looming that could happen in September, whether Tyson Fury decides to come out of retirement or not come out of retirement. For Anthony Joshua, he's earned a hell of a lot of money. This is prize fighting, and that's what it's all about. And that's what he's done. And
he argues that these kinds of fights blur the line between sport and spectacle, pulling attention away from meaningful competition. Jordan emphasizes that Anthony Joshua has already secured generational wealth and a lasting legacy, meaning he has no need for novelty bouts. Even if a Tyson-Fury fight never materializes, Jordan says Joshua's financial security makes walking away from boxing entirely a realistic possibility.
Earning more than Joshua. That apart, Spencer, 6 rounds to get Paul out of there. Reputationally, how does it leave AJ?
Well, thankfully, it didn't go to points, because I think that would have been a disaster for Anthony Joshua. I think that he needed to get the job done inside the distance. And he done it. Look, he could have done it at any given point. I think that he could have cut the ring off whenever he wanted to and got Jake Paul out of there. He took his time on that. He allowed Jake Paul to run around like a rabbit and throw the occasional shot from time to time. And I think he only landed one clean punch, didn't he, Anthony Joshua? And that was the one that broke his jaw in 2 places.
But I mean, you said, did you not, to us in this very studio the other day, he's got to get him out of there in round 1.
I did.
Otherwise, what are we seeing?
Exactly that. You know, and I think what we saw there was a little bit of entertainment. And that was pretty much it. But not entertainment that many people enjoyed, if I'm honest. I think that people wanted to see a demolition.
Joe Rogan praised Anthony Joshua by emphasizing his rare combination of speed, athleticism, and devastating power. He explained that Joshua moves like a much lighter fighter despite being a heavyweight, and possesses true one-punch knockout power that can end a fight instantly. Rogan described Joshua as a nightmare matchup, noting how quickly he can close distance and finish exchanges. According to him, those physical gifts make it completely unrealistic for crossover fighters to compete with Joshua at any serious or elite level.
Boxer, but this is a giant Olympic gold medalist heavyweight. I mean, Anthony Joshua is fucking
Here's the
terrifying.
thing that nightmares are made of.
And he's got that one-punch nuclear power. One punch.
Adam Booth offered a brutally honest assessment of the fight, pointing out that Jake Paul did manage to make Anthony Joshua miss at certain moments, which he considered noteworthy. Booth said Jake's movement and positioning showed clear improvement and discipline, forcing Joshua to reset rather than land shots at will. He made it clear this didn't mean Jake was winning, but creating even brief hesitation against an elite heavyweight is significant and reflects real progress. Booth went on to explain that making a fighter like Joshua miss isn't accidental. It requires preparation, timing, and confidence under pressure. He credited Jake's footwork and his ability to stay composed in difficult moments, saying those elements deserve recognition. At the same time, Booth stressed that these flashes didn't alter the overall reality of the bout. Once Joshua found his rhythm and openings, his superior class, power, and experience took control and ultimately decided the fight.
Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul shared a ring. Your takeaways from the 6 rounds that we saw, presuming you watched?
I was impressed with Jake Paul. I thought that, following on from what we're saying, right? A few years ago, he was on Disney as a kid, acting up, and has decided to become a professional fighter. That takes balls, he's obviously striving to be as good as he can be. You can see that in the way that he moves, the way that he is developed in how he's punching and performing. But to make a 2-time world heavyweight champion that's still live, you know, AJ's still got something about him, to make him miss in such an accomplished manner. All right, so at times he was jumping out and running around, but there were times when he was well in range and still making AJ unable to land a clean, solid shot. He deserves a lot of respect for that. And then the shot that actually finished the fight, that broke his jaw quite badly, didn't put him out. That shot's that shot he threw with serious intention has put a lot of professional heavyweights to sleep. He didn't go to sleep. He actually finished on his knees, didn't he? Laughing and spitting blood out of his mouth. So, like they say, like it's a special type of crazy and a special type of brave to do it. But I actually hats off to him, because he showed that he's developing some accomplished little skills in there to look after himself. The size difference is always going to fatigue him.
I know everyone will come with the idea that, AJ should just go in there 1 round and smash him to bits, and that should be it was a big ring, right? Perhaps he could have cut the ring off a bit better, but would I be right in saying that regardless of skill level, if you forget about that with the 2 for a second, if someone is on the back foot on their bike and doing what Jake was doing, it's difficult no matter who you are, no matter the kind of separation in skill level.
It's a big ring, and you've either got to run at him and look like a novice yourself, or just take your time and understand.
In the aftermath of the fight, attention briefly shifted to Logan Paul, who appeared to confront Anthony Joshua and spoke openly about revenge for his brother. Logan even suggested interest in fighting Joshua himself. However, analysts were quick to shut down the idea, calling an even bigger mismatch than Jake Paul's bout. They pointed out that Jake trains full-time with professional boxing coaches and treats the sport as a serious pursuit. Logan, by contrast, lacks that level of dedication, experience, and technical development. Commentary around the situation made it clear that Logan Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight would move beyond spectacle and into outright farce. Analysts argued that despite the loss, Jake at least demonstrated a basic level of professional boxing competence. Logan is viewed as far less polished and far less committed. The overall consensus was that such a matchup would offer nothing competitively and would only fuel further criticism about the direction and credibility of modern boxing.
Would be more of a mismatch than Jake Paul. You know what I mean? Because at least Jake Paul has taken boxing or has trained with real boxing trainers and real boxes. Whereas Logan Paul, you know, he did that exhibition with Floyd, and Floyd's a little guy. Not saying a little guy can't thump, because Floyd really gave him some two pieces with no sides, right? But at the same time, you take his friend, Floyd's friend, Anthony Joshua, and get hit by him and see what happens. The same thing. Probably worse, because I think Logan, you know, he's a little taller than Jake. And because he's a little taller than Jake, he may think he's a little stronger than Jake, which I don't know which one's true or not. I don't think it makes a difference. But because he may feel that way, he may want to go in there and try to bang it out with AJ. And if that happens, it's going to be a lot quicker. See, that 6 rounds it took AJ to finally catch Jake. It took that way because Jake was on that bicycle, moving, being elusive, trying to come in and then come out. He tried to do a very poor man's Alexander Usyk, right? And it didn't work for him. Logan ain't going to do that. Logan's going to come in throwing bunches and bunches like he did with Floyd, trying to get him in there and, you know, do all this stuff. And what's going to happen as soon as AJ lines him up, sets his punch, he's going to hit Jake and he's going to break Jake down.
Sugashan O'Malley analyzed the aftermath of the fight by focusing on Jake Paul's mindset going in. He argued that the trash talk and confidence Jake displayed before the bout were widely misunderstood by critics. According to Molly, Jake needed that bravado to mentally prepare himself for stepping into the ring with a 2-time Olympic champion. He explained that belief and positive self-talk are essential when facing overwhelming odds, even if the result ultimately goes against you. Without that mental edge, Molly believes Jake wouldn't have been able to function under the immense pressure at all. Molly added that much of the criticism ignores how extraordinarily difficult it is to share a ring with a fighter of Anthony Joshua's caliber. While the defeat was decisive, he argued that Jake's approach reflected an understanding of the challenge rather than arrogance. In Molly's view, the fight highlighted not just a physical gap, but the intense psychological demands of competing against an elite heavyweight at the highest level.
Out in the ring.
Jake was shooting double legs too.
Shooting double legs, nice
Duck
ones
unders.
with ankle picks, duck unders. But dude, God, people are, I see so much people talking shit on the fight, which, dude, what the fuck did they expect? Like, Jake was hyping himself up, saying he's gonna win. Dude, that's self-belief. He needed that to go in. He needed that to get himself into the ring. You know what I'm saying? He just needed that.
What do you think about the sticking the tongue out?
Dude, he's a showman. This is a fucking YouTuber that switched to pro boxing.
Yep.
And he's fighting Anthony fucking Joshua.
He's
He made
entertaining.
$90 million, $7.5 million per minute. Nate Diaz says that boy don't work hard enough. This girl in the UFC said Jake Paul shot more double legs in boxing in a match than I did in my UFC career. Ryan Garcia said he's a runner, he's a track star. Al Germain said this is a clown show. Josh Hammond said, dude, it's like, what did they expect? They expect him to go in there and look like a clean fucking Floyd versus Manny Pacquiao. Two of the, you know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck?
You see the aftermath, like his jaw and everything. Fuck.
Jake Paul's broken jaw. Jake has to get wired shut for 7 days or something like that.
Yeah, like
Tim
titanium
had to do
plates.
7 weeks.
Yeah, Tim says that was the worst thing he's ever gone through.
7 weeks. Tim broke his jaw in Montana. Tried to go to the hospital. Hospital said the surgeon's out of town. So now he has to. So he's fucking goes like a week without even getting surgery. At least Jake was able to probably get it like next day, that same day. But it's like all the people hating on Jake. It's crazy. Connor said Jake is stupid and will be altered permanently from this bout. I look at it. It's inspiring seeing what he does because I know how much like he's putting in work. He's doing legitimate fight camps. He's doing sparring. He's doing rounds. He's eating. He's doing everything